Yo, what up? It's your boy Raul. You're listening to The Sideline, a TPL podcast. That's right. This is another edition of our podcast, and this is how you can be a part of the game without being on the field. Hope you guys had a great family day, TPL fam. So this week we caught up with Greg McMullen, Jarrell Villaroya, and Nicole James. Some players from Inside Out, Trail Mix, and Silverbacks, Knox, down at a dim sum restaurant. Yeah, and we got a chance to talk about gender equity in our sport, what Toronto's doing, and how Inside Out came to be. Stay tuned, everybody. TPL Sideline, coming at you.
Welcome to the podcast. How's everybody doing?
Good, man. How you doing, Carter?
At this table, we have Gerald.
Yeah.
Greg. Raul.
Yo, what up?
And Nicole.
Hello.
All right, so let's all give a little introduction about yourself. Gerald, if you want to start off.
I'm Gerald, and I'm the captain of Inside Out. That's normally the team we play on. In TPL, I played for Jerry Gregoire. Kind of more difficult to say than we originally thought it would be. It's a little awkward. It's only my third season in TPL, and I've GM'd 2 of those seasons.
And who'd you play for last, like touring-wise?
I played for the Silverbacks touring-wise, so I tried the Open Masters thing. So
Nice.
It was a little interesting, but it was fun.
Yeah. And Greg?
I'm Greg McMullen. Played TPL, I guess, 3 seasons, but one of them I was kind of injured, so for most of it I didn't play very much. I'm also one of the GMs of Jerry Gregoire. Very difficult to say, especially when we try to cheer Gregoire on 3. It's hard. Yeah, it's tricky. I'm touring right now with Fluid in the 4-on-4 circuit. We just qualified for Nats in Montreal. In the summer, I toured with Trail Mix last year, and we finished 14th at Nats.
Nice.
Like that, so. Yeah.
And Nicole?
Hi, I'm Nicole James. Currently in TPL, I am playing with the Swelfins. It is my second season in TPL. Last season was my first, so it's kind of super fresh
So
for me.
you've only played the 3-3 ratio
That's
TPL.
right.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
I think that was kind of one of the things that made me feel like I'd do better or have a better place in it. So I was happy to see that happen. And normally I play with Inside Out, but in the summer I toured with Knox for the first time, kind of doing touring stuff.
Nice.
And that was a lot of fun.
Cool. And we have the co-host.
Yo, what up? It's your boy Raul. Y'all know I play with the Raulettes. Glad to be here. Made it to Mississauga. A little further than I thought it would be, but we're here. And we're having fun.
Just off the Gardner. Just only a little off the Gardner. It's not
A few kilometers. Just
Is
a
that
few
what
kilometers.
somebody told you?
No, it's just
No,
what I assumed.
Yes, that is actually what someone told me. Raul told me that.
I just assumed. It's like, wake up in Scarborough, I'll end up in Bloor Court, and I'll be in Mississauga for lunch. Be no problem.
Yeah. This is pretty awesome. Like, we have dim sum in front of us.
Delicious.
Yeah.
And then some.
And then some. Someone, please tell me what is Inside Out.
Well, it's a throw that you release. No, I assume you mean the team.
Yeah.
You mean the team, yeah. Am I sure I know? Well, I was one of the founders of the team Inside Out in Mississauga. Me and Eric Palmatesta and another guy, Trevor Shelley, who was the manager of the Mississauga Sport and Social Club, kind of got together, talked about doing something like this, and immediately brought Gerald in. He was like the first person we thought about. And sort of from there, we went around trying to find people in Mississauga or the Mississauga area that were fun and friendly and good at Ultimate. That started for us 5 years ago, something like that.
No, I think it's
6?
No, I think it's less.
7?
Less? Okay, I don't know. It's between 4 and 6.
Yeah, because I think you've been playing.
It's 5. Nicole's confirmed for us.
You
It
guys
will
have
be
been
5.
around for like ages. And like if you guys, I don't know, you guys have been playing Tuck League and Tuck Leagues and like, I guess the Mississauga League, right?
Yeah, well, that's kind of where we started, was in the Mississauga Sport and Social Club. I think we maybe played a few seasons in the Toronto Sport and Social Club as well before eventually...
That's when you realize you're like, we're too good for Mississauga. Let's start kicking other people's asses.
Well, I mean, the level of competition is certainly higher in the
growing.
Tuck.
It's
And,
still growing.
And we seem to fit in pretty well there. So that's pretty much who we are.
So is Inside Out a touring team as well?
We're a fun touring team. So we started out trying to figure out if we wanted to be more competitive, because a lot of us want to be more competitive. Some people were okay with what we were doing. So we now basically, Inside Out will do all the fun stuff, like beach tournaments and stuff like that. And then, a lot of people play trail mix now, and to do the more competitive, like go to regionals, go to nationals kind of thing.
Yeah, what's a discussion that's been had a few times over the life of our team? Do we want to, you can be a touring team and not necessarily go and try to make nats or something, but is that, where are we? What do we want to do? What's our goal? And it was basically decided that really we would like to focus on really playing fun stuff. We're not trying to play regionals and qualify for nats and stuff, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Question mark?
Yeah, I suppose question mark.
Maybe?
I would say for the, at this point, that's the direction. It's possible that it could change, but.
Sounds similar to the stuff we have in Toronto with teams like MMV and other, fun competitive league teams who kind of dabble in some fun tournaments.
Yeah, and I mean, in some ways you can see some similarities between MMV and Inside Out too. Where MMV feeds into a real system. We don't have necessarily a system like that, but we do have players that if they are interested in competing at a higher level, there are options like Trail Mix or Nox or Silverbacks or whatever, other teams that we've built relationships with. So it works as it's like a good stepping stone for people that want to play more competitive.
Which is great. You guys have such a great team dynamic. Great. And the fact that you guys are still together.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
For a while. I feel like that pays testament to what it means to be good, not a good team, not just as teammates, but also skill-wise, which shows a lot.
Yeah, I mean it's good people, it's good skill, and we have fun. So.
Yeah. You guys have all played with each other for a few years. Does playing TPL, being a stack tracking league and heckling league, change the way you play with each other?
With each other?
With each other. Sometimes you guys sub with each other.
Oh, that's interesting.
On the other end of the field with each other.
Yeah. Right.
Nicole?
I haven't even seen you guys since the season started.
Yeah, we haven't played with them yet.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I'm not sure how.
Have
I
you been
would
traded
answer
yet?
that. I have not been traded.
Okay.
But did you play against Dex or Laura, maybe?
I've played against Dex and Laura, and then with Laura.
Okay.
So that's been kind of cool. Unfortunately, the game I played against Dex, he got injured in the first couple of minutes, so he sat out for a bit.
So you know how to take him out, right? Is that what you're saying?
I had nothing to do with it.
Did you point and laugh?
maybe a little.
You were the one that maybe little undercut him and then because oh god, I'm out. I'm so out.
Not at all. But I really much rather play with Laura than against Laura, so that was fun when she was on our team. I think that we've got a pretty good dynamic. We usually get either me an assist to her or her an assist to me sometime in there when we're playing together, so I guess that vibe's there.
Well, what about let's say you're playing with other Nox ladies, right? That you've toured with. Mm-hmm. Does that change at all? Let's say, I don't know, you realize that you make a throw that you make all the time, then all of a sudden, now that you know it's TPL, you don't throw that anymore, or you throw it even more. For example, a full field huck. Some people that used to do it outdoors to do it all the time.
Yeah.
But then on indoors are nope, not even going to take a chance.
I've really tried not to think about the stat keeping and stuff. I think I was a little too in my head the first half of last season.
Yeah.
And so now I'm kind of not worrying about it so much. So I hope that's not really a factor when I'm playing. I just, kind of do my thing.
What about you guys?
What was the question again?
Do you find the fact that we're playing in a stat keeping league, and does that change how we play specifically, I think, with each other or against each other?
Especially that you guys are now co-GM.
Yeah, and
right?
it's interesting, the question, because I think the answer specifically to that question is no. If I'm on the field with Nicole or Jill or Brian or Dex, we have that chemistry, we kind of know what we're going to do, and so it works really well, and so probably just going to do what we would normally do, and it would likely work. But on the flip side, it's everybody else that you're playing with that you don't necessarily have that chemistry with. That I think that's where you're not sure if I should make that throw or not. Are they going to look? Are they expecting it?
So you're still going to throw those 50-50s to Brian?
all those 50. I don't know. When you throw something in the air to Brian, I feel like it's got a better chance of 50-50 offense. So.
Fortunately, none of us can make it full field puck, so he's always getting the assist because he's right outside the end zone and tossing it in to somebody else.
What a classic cutter problem. My God, my handlers can't throw for shit. But Rule, what are you? Like you and the Roar boys.
Oh yeah.
Right?
No. I love Roy.
No. I'm not saying anything
That's
bad
just
about
something
Roar
we
boys.
say.
But like for example, like do you play a little bit differently, or do you guys just still try and run your game?
Oh, 100%. Totally play differently.
Yeah.
100% play differently.
Like more conservative or more aggressive?
I think we play more fun. So like during the season,
Are you telling me that during the season that Roy's no fun?
During the season, we play fun, ultimate,
okay.
but we play competitive team win mentality, ultimate. Whereas TPL, I find your priorities are a little different, where it's fun, stats, and inclusion.
Yeah.
Whereas in Roy Ultimate, I don't want to knock the system because the system worked. We made it to Nats after 5 years being removed.
Congratulations, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it was great. But in terms of inclusion and player diversity on the field, which throws are thrown, talked about 50-50s. We don't throw 50-50s when you're playing Roy in the summertime when you're trying to get to Nats. You throw, is that 100%? Is that a 60%? If it's not more than 80%, you shouldn't throw it.
Right.
Unless you're Mike Huang, then you throw whatever you want.
Yeah.
That's what you get when you're the coach.
No one can yell at the coach.
Yeah.
You yell back, you get no minutes.
But really though, you just get benched, right?
Yeah.
You get called off, and they talk to you and they ask you like, hey, we talked about this. You play your game, he plays his game, we play our game, we win the game. Like,
yeah.
There's time for that at practice, there's time for that at scrim. When it's game ready, you can use it, but right now it's not game ready.
Yeah.
And that's what you get when you're on a developing team and you're trying to be competitive. And I don't think you get that at TPL. For example, guys like Zuniga, Huang, PMK, Patrick Meredith Karam, Nick Edwards, Enge. We see all these guys out there, whether we're on the same team or playing against each other. On the same team, for sure, there are things that we know we can use to rely on each other on. Like, I know I can count on Enge. He'll always be there for a dump. That's because he's good at that, and he knows I'm going to need a dump. So, I'm not putting it downfield. So it's good. And then you guys talked about Brian Smith being like you throw it up and you give him the benefit of the doubt because he's your guy during the season. Same thing with
so much trust,
right? The trust is there.
So much trust.
So, for example, Patrick Meredith Karam is 6'4", tall, lanky guy, and he does this thing where he throws SOS signals in the corner of the end zone. I don't know if you guys saw it last season, but he literally stands there waving his arms like this, and he won't cut. So, for people who are uninitiated to his style of standing around in the end zone, you might not throw it. But anyone who played Roy with him knows, throw a hammer. He puts his arms up and it's 8.5 feet in the air. He jumps and he's over 10 feet. Who's going to go and contest that, right? Like, just make it drop on his head.
Yeah.
So, the little things like that you keep in mind. And then also when you're playing defense, try to push him out of the end zone. Starts waving his arms, start pushing him out of the end zone. Because you know it's coming.
Yeah. No, it's pretty cool. No, it's really interesting to see. On a more, I guess personally, I definitely find when I first started playing TPL, I would never hug it. Never. But obviously now that you guys, since I've met you guys in TPL, that we played TPL together, I've definitely hugged it a lot more than usual. Maybe more so. But except for this season, I've been trying to hold back a little bit and be a bit more conservative.
When you say lefty backhands?
Like that time I broke you? Yeah.
It wasn't a break, it was open side.
All right, it was open side for a score.
That's true. You did get the assist on that one.
I'm curious though, how does it compare to when you how you regularly play, a regular league?
Are we talking about like sixes or are we talking?
Yeah,
about
let's say
outdoor?
a 6-on-6 indoor league, other than TPL.
So I definitely feel that I'm more confident. I guess more confident with this is definitely
when you're not in TPL.
When I'm not in TPL.
Yeah, it's true, right?
Because,
isn't that weird?
Yeah. I think it's only because you need to work harder.
Right.
You wanna really go at it.
Yeah. You want it to count.
Yeah, you want it to count compared to like, let's say you're not in TPL. It's more relaxed, way more relaxed. Like, oh, if I make a mistake, oh well, you know what? I made a mistake. Like, oh well, who cares?
Yeah, they happen.
Right?
It's a team game.
Yeah.
You know.
No one's gonna remember.
No one's gonna remember.
Except now, there's an actual stat that people will remember. You're just gonna be like, yeah, that whole thing right above your shoulder, like that like mark right above your head, being like, this guy made a throwaway. You gotta remember this.
I think you're right. There's something to that. There's something to like, if I make a throwaway in a regular non-TPL 6-on-6 league, I don't really think about it. But as soon as I make one in TPL, like the rest of that game, I've got it on my mind.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I don't want to throw any more throwaways now. I'm never thinking that
Like
otherwise. Right?
the too many men on situation.
Oh.
You got a TA too many on.
Yeah, look at my stats.
You gotta explain this.
So I bruised my heel like 2 weeks ago, and I missed one make a TPL, and then I decided I'd play last week, and it was sore, so I wasn't moving very well.
Yeah.
So I had like 6 assists, 1 second assist, and that's all I remembered. I got no goals, no Ds, whatever, but I felt pretty good. And then I get off and I look at the stats, and it says I got 1 throwaway, and I'm fuming. I didn't know I have a throwaway. There was no way. Where did this come from? So I'm looking through if you tap on the...
This is bullshit. This is bullshit.
I don't know if you're aware, but if you're looking at the app, at the little table underneath the stats, you can tap on each row and see each possession. So I was tapping through. It turned out it was the very last possession that we had, and it turns out it was too many men on the field, and I think it was my fault, actually. I ran out of the field. I was so excited. I picked up the disc, and then they're like, whoa, 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 and I looked, and sure enough, I was the 4th man. So I put the disc on the ground, and then I realized that was probably a throwaway. Unfortunately.
Yeah, you gotta give the turn over to somebody else.
That's right. And actually, it was probably my fault. I think I was a little bit excited on the front of the line. Right.
As a GM, that's really not that bad.
It's true, yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
well, you know what? To be honest, I think I'd rather
Take a little...
have the...
Right, have the throwaway
have
and
the
give it to
throwaway.
anybody else.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because no matter what, your amount will always stay with you.
Right.
You can always trade
Right.
someone else away, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
but Greg has his personal pride.
Yeah, that's true. I do like to get my stats.
I think you'd rather have an actual throwaway than a TA from
Oh, that
too
was
many
so
men on.
frustrating. Oh.
Are you going to try to collect everyone from inside out on your team
Well,
at the same time?
interesting you asked this question. We did do a little bit of math before we got here in anticipation of this. And we determined that if we were to take all of the current IOU players and put them on one team, the 6 of us would be 1.4 million in salary.
Yeah.
And the teams right now are all about 2.4 million in salary.
Yeah.
So that means with 6 players, we'd have consumed 60% of our salary, and we need 8 players to fill the rest of it. And that would mean they'd be an average of like 125,000.
And
That's true. You guys are all pretty expensive.
There's a lot of expensive
You guys
people
need to
here.
start sucking.
Yeah, that's just,
You guys need to pull your weight and start throwing away more.
so I have a hard time with that myself.
I can just see Gerald right now. He's like, I'm on it. Don't worry. Don't worry.
No, Gerald's
Don't
like,
worry.
no, you know what though? We're okay. We're okay just to play it like we're playing it. And if we got to make trades, like if we have to get rid of, we had to get rid of Destin already. If we got to trade Brian away at some point. I mean, it might happen. That's just part of the
who
part of
knows
the league,
what
right?
BBR is going to be?
It's true.
Yeah, it's
Never
all part of
know.
the league.
PBI was pretty great.
Yeah.
What was this week's PBR?
Don't make a stupid trade.
Yeah, don't make any stupid trades.
I wanted to ask Nicole. So we talked about how you played with Knox, and then you played with Inside Out, and we asked you about. We asked everyone like, who are you looking forward to playing with or against? You briefly mentioned, rather playing with Laura, getting some stats together. It's fun. But I wanted to know, who are you looking more forward to playing against? Your Knox teammates or your Inside Out teammates? And this is purely from a personal, you talked about being in your head in the first half of the first season. So let's get in your head and let's talk about who do you want to match up with moving forward.
I guess just because with Inside Out being a mixed team, I wouldn't necessarily match up with many of the players on Inside Out aside from Laura, since she's the only other woman from the team on the team.
You can run through like Dexter or Gerald whenever you feel like. You're
can hand block him if you want.
definitely
It's
fast
true.
enough. I've seen you run.
But it just I guess it works out better, or it's more likely that I'd be matched up against women from Knox, and so I guess I'd say Knox. women.
So you're looking forward to matching up with them?
Yeah, because it's always fun to play against them and just kind of... We haven't really played together since the summer, although some of us are in Women's League together. Just being on the other side, maybe, instead of playing with them, playing against them. It's kind of fun.
More specifically, is there any one person that you really want to sky, you really want to D, you want to get out there?
Plead the fifth. No.
That sounds like someone who wants to make it back on Nox.
Well, I don't know. It's like I always feel like no matter what, even though they're your friends and like they're good, like for example, like let's say because Gerald and I were friends, like I definitely want to D you, no matter what, like, and like we can laugh about it. Oh, there was that time like I really botched the D, but or like there was another time where like I did something crazy and like you learn from it, but it's also a friendly environment to challenge someone without so much of a blowback of like being negative.
I will definitely say that if I ever got a hand block against Katie, I would be like, okay, I'm good. Like, I'm a happy person. I can retire now just because she, like...
overhead.
I think one of the last times we played against each other, she broke me so badly. I was like... I was devastated, but...
Was it an inside out?
Yes. Yeah, but...
Toronto favorite.
The one thing that's really interesting about Greg and Gerald is that the last time that they were in this league, that the league was still 4-2. How do you guys feel that the league has differed since then? And does GMing change how you feel about like the 3-3 and the 4-2? I don't think I said that right, but whatever. Let's go with it.
Personally, no, not for me. Because for me, I've always played mixed, so I've always valued the women on our team. When we're still kind of transitioning to a higher level as inside out, or like feeder teams to inside out. We used to come to situations where we would push our ladies. We would take more ladies on and say, "You're capable of covering a guy here. It's not a thing. Like you're totally capable."
Nicole, can we verify this?
That is absolutely true. Yeah.
Inside out. Making a stand on equity,
Gender equity.
Yeah, and like it helps push them, right? Like Nox was playing in a mixed league, and I'm sure that helped a lot. Like playing against people who are a lot like guys who are taller and some of them maybe faster, right? And like it helps you push to your limits versus kind of playing down to a lower.
For sure, having to kind of step up, or where sometimes, especially depending on which league we're playing in, MSSC, TSSC, where the difference in the skill level of women was often really vast. Being matched up against a guy kind of pushed me further, and especially you encouraging, like, okay, pick up the disc, Nicole, as much as I hate it.
Like this is great.
Greg, how do you feel about like the change from 4-2 to 3-3?
There's been a lot of discussion about gender equity in Ultimate in the last, I don't know, maybe for as long as there's been Ultimate, but especially in the last year or so. And it's had me thinking, and I think Ultimate is probably destined to be a even number player team, like either 8 or 6, because mixed Ultimate is really so foundational in our sport, and the 4-3 thing just adds so much complexity that's really not necessary. I kind of get stuck sometimes thinking about 7. We have set zones for 7 that if we had 6, like it makes it harder to imagine maybe how that would work or something, but I think we get past that, and just,
I think it's an easy adjustment to make.
Yeah, I think that's right. It would be an adjustment for all teams, but it's definitely one that we could do, and I think it just makes sense for the sport. I love playing with women. I love having an equal number on the field at the same time.
Yeah, even with like the new like gender end zone thing, there was still some confusion. I think even at regionals, Trail Mix versus Zen, like there was like an issue, and they didn't even realize it was mismatched gender until like Trail Mix scored the point. and then it was complained about.
Yeah, we
and they had
definitely
to
had
play the
something
whole
like
thing
that.
over again.
But I mean,
Oh,
they,
you had to replay that point.
yeah,
Yeah,
we
they played the whole
they
point.
said the point didn't count. I don't know. I'm not even sure that was supposed to happen, but it doesn't really matter. I mean,
Yeah, nobody. I don't think it's ever come up. They
The
didn't-
point is that there was complexity added because of what they did with the gender to deal with the 3-4 gender swap. So anyway, whatever. I think there's better ways that Ultimate could be structured so that it's more equal. Obviously, it would be if you had an even number of players. And so I really like the 3-3. To me, the 4-2 thing. I guess when I started playing Ultimate, and that's just what we did. I didn't really question it. But then once I started to see 3-3 leagues, it seemed like, well, why wouldn't we do this all the time?
Right.
And maybe the only reason that we don't do it all the time is because there's maybe not enough women sometimes to fill leagues. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I know there still are 4-2 leagues out there. Right?
I think a 4-2 league also stems from the understanding of the sport, where you come indoors after playing 7 or 3, you just take a player off. Right? You're like, okay, well, we'll take one off. Is it going to be a guy or is it going to be a girl? I mean, patriarchal society situated, you're like, oh, well, we're not going to take one of us off. So you end up with that. And it's not even a question of having less women at that point, in the conception of the league. And then when you start looking at actual numbers, for sure, we have less women. Like this season in TPL 3-3, we have 6 women on every team. There's one team with 7. I think a second team just joined now. Yeah, you guys just got a 7.
I think we're on wild card number 3 now.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you guys just picked up. Sorry, just to backtrack. You guys just picked up Jackie Hayworth, who's a great addition.
Yeah,
Yeah, you put it like we were already overcapped right when we got her. Like it was like, good thing we traded it down a little bit more than we planned.
yeah.
Because I think we were playing that week. We were planning to take somebody offer. I don't remember who had it. Was it somebody offered YCT? And we're like, oh yeah, we love YCT. We play him on like Huxley and stuff. But we're like, I don't know if we want to because he's really expensive and we don't have any playroom. Yeah. So, I mean, that would have put us really over if we took that trade and then got Jackie right after that. Like, we would be struggling this week for sure.
Well, you'd be struggling like another team was struggling this week for trades. Like Agatha, that game that she had this week. 38?
12-point win over Steel.
Yeah, 37-25. Oh, yeah? Like, that's an insane game. Like, I think realistically speaking, if your team can score 25, even though if you do lose, you're doing something right, obviously. Yeah. But unfortunately, you're obviously doing something wrong because you just lost, right? But what do you?
You just keep playing, right? You can't just roll over.
Yeah.
But back to the topic, 3-3, 4-3, women, men, gender equity, and all that stuff. I think Ultimate shot itself in the foot, and to start off with, going with 4-3, and now we as 21st century players, we are dealing with it, and we're trying to get better, and it's an uphill battle. Yeah. If at the get-go it was, like you said, an even sport where you had an even number, it would just be easy. You just split it down the middle.
I think okay, so I'm kind of conflicted because I understand why, it was kind of you want equity, but there's never been a sport out there where it is a truly mixed gendered sport. I could be wrong, but
mixed curling right now in the Olympics.
Yeah, but we know that Ultimate as a competitive sport started before curling as a mixed sport, right?
Yeah.
Mixed doubles tennis.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there are some examples.
Right?
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying there
But I
isn't.
think,
I'm
I
saying
think if we did find any examples, though, they would be even guys and girls.
yeah, right. Everything is basically even, but Ultimate itself started as a 7-on-7,
right?
A 7-on-7 number.
Before they started worrying about gender.
Yeah. Right, they're not at that point in time. They're worried about can we create a game, not can we create gender equity.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if it's true. I mean, I heard they just picked 7 because that was the number of people that fit on the field where they were playing. I don't know, that was about the right number. Yeah, I mean that may very well be it. But anyway, I think Sorrell's point that it started that way for whatever reason, but now we're left with this odd number and these questions about gender equity. So what do we do as a sport to make it better? I really feel it's going to go to an even number at some point, either 8 or 6. But in the meantime, I love the fact that we have tuck leagues that are supporting 3-3, and even when we don't necessarily have maybe enough women, we still push it forward. There might be a little bit of growth that needs to happen before this is all leagues can be 3-3. But I hope we get there.
So I don't know if you guys know, but there is a league out there that's in the start of creation that it's supposed to be a new pro league that's like bent on being mixed. I think the ratio is 3-3.
I did hear about that.
Yeah. That should be pretty interesting. The one thing that kind of irked me a little bit was that Toronto was not considered as one of the starting cities for it. It's not even considered as even the second generation, like a second tier city. It wasn't even considered at all. Vancouver was picked over Toronto, and funny enough is that the Vancouver Riptide are no longer in the AUDL, as that they're moving to Portland. I know we're getting a little off topic about TPL, but like this all kind of ties back as like Toronto is making waves to becoming a way more I suppose gender neutral.
Not just Toronto, but
the sport itself. But the fact that we're already starting as a 3-3, I don't know any other leagues out there. Also because I'm just completely ignorant about other leagues, but I don't know any other ultimate out there that's even playing 3-3 or even trying to become as neutral as us.
Well, maybe not 3-3, but I know in Quebec they were huge pushers for the 2-2 and 4s.
Yeah,
they pushed hard for that because 4s was really big in Quebec. And that's a topic for another day, like a beautiful circuit that they developed with a whole bunch of tournaments and points per tournament and how you finish. And Ontario's doing it this year. I don't know if you guys are participating on the circuit, the 4 circuit, so you guys probably got a chance to see how they're determining how you make regionals if you qualify even to go. So it's pretty cool to see that. But I think that, again, it comes back to being an even number, it being easy for Ultimate Canada to just be like, oh yeah, we don't need to change any rules, we don't need to change field dimensions, we don't need to change required amounts of subs or max subs per team, just drop it down the middle.
I think a lot of it has to do with, at a lower level, you have a lot less females interested in recreational sports.
Yeah.
So then it's hard to find. I think a lot of teams we struggled as Inside Out at the beginning, like fielding enough ladies, right? So it's when you get to the higher levels, then there are more ladies that are more available.
I'm kind of curious. How did you end up recruiting more ladies
With Inside Out.
Yeah, with Inside Out, because I feel like that's a good way to not just recruit for TPL, but like just ladies in general, and more empowerment for ladies to have a platform to play more team sports. And
I kind of remember the early days being like, whatever we could do to find a lady that wanted to play.
If we have fun with them, they're committed to play a lot with us. Like if somebody's sub with us a lot regularly.
There was Rebecca Babcock. We met Rebecca. Like I think Mark Brubaker had seen her.
No, that was me.
Was it you?
On a meetup.
Yeah. It was like some meetup somewhere. Wanted to throw a disc around.
Nicole, how did you join Inside Out?
I was pretty new to Ultimate to begin with. We met at one of the meetups through.
What year is this?
2013.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And I had no idea how to do anything with a frisbee. Do you remember me like throwing and it going the opposite way? Trevor was super patient with me, helping me and whatever, and I
was there too. I wasn't throwing it the wrong way, but I remember getting there for the very first game and then like not picking a person and then just like running around the field like I don't know what to do, and then Trevor actually stopped the game mid-game, be like, whoa, everybody.
Yeah. I was just looking to get out and play a sport, and Ultimate ended up being just a really great sport for you to start off with no experience, because the community is so awesome in kind of just being patient, giving you lots of opportunities to play and get started with it. So I can't imagine, I've never really played soccer before competitively. I could never go in, join an adult soccer league and feel like I could be learning as I go.
Man, have you seen those guys that play soccer at Monarch?
Yeah,
you,
like it's too intense,
and,
it's nuts.
I feel like they're going to rip my head off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more like really overly competitive for like it's like a rec league.
Well, even the kids right before the games at TPL, man, those kids fire bullets
They got
Like,
skills. They got skills.
They got skills. But going back, like, yeah, for example, like, well, what, like, how can you like promote, like, to get more women into Inside Out or just like Ultimate in general?
I know I've been like any girl that I know who is interested in like getting out and being active again. I'm like, no, you need to try Ultimate, even if you've never considered it before in your life. It's a great sport to get started off with. You know, come to a game or whatever and just try it. Give it a try. Because if you can get women who are interested in doing something and get them to love Ultimate, then they'll stay. Because it's not just as the social stuff is great, the competitive stuff is great, but it's also a healthy, active lifestyle and competition that I'm looking for kind of as a lifelong thing. And if you can get people with that sort of attitude, that means you're not going to have the turnover. They're going to stick with it for a really long time. So if you can continue to get women in who have that mentality around sports, then I think it'll be good for growing the sport with women so that we get, you know, even numbers out.
That's really cool. I just wanted to bring something back. You mentioned briefly that you two met through a meetup.
Yes.
So was there a Ultimate related meetup event created?
Yeah, there was.
Who created that?
Trevor from Toronto Sport and Social Club. So
The Toronto Sport and Social Club had social events to gather people interested in trying out a sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's how they got you guys.
Yeah.
And that's how Inside Out became.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Roughly, I mean,
That's how some of Inside Out began.
but I mean,
of
but that was kind of how like a lot of us started to meet each other in the first place. Because it was about 5 years ago when Mississauga was developing the Mississauga Sport and Social Club, or Trevor was developing it, and so they were doing things exactly like you said,
novel idea.
and they still do today, I believe.
You know, and we talk about how we're going to get more women into TPL, how we're going to get more women in Ultimate, how we're going to get 3-3 more respected as a format, and all that comes from numbers and support in on the format, on the sport, and everything else. Talked about community, talked about the social atmosphere, the encouragement, the support network, the development. I think this is a great idea. It's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought. I don't really see that happening with Tuck so much, I don't think, anyway, right? Like, just...
Tuck's tried. Like, I know when you sign up for a league or when you sign up for your membership, there's always that tab at the bottom that says, will you participate in Tuck social events?
Okay.
Have you participated in the past? Would you volunteer, etc.? Like, these three last questions.
To be honest, I don't think I've ever heard of a Tuck social event before. Like,
They
not,
do
not, not
AGM,
bashing.
AGM and stuff,
I'm
right?
definitely not
They do
bashing
that.
on Tuck, but I just, like, realistically speaking, I don't think I could have just, like, maybe scrolled by an email, but I don't think I've ever noticed, like, a Tuck.
When I first moved to
event.
Toronto in 2013, I was looking for social events with Ultimate players to see where the system was, who was who are the teams, and what are the teams, so that I could get involved. And I recognized Tuck doing some social events, but they were 1, poorly organized, 2, poorly communicated, and 3, poorly attended.
Okay.
So you ended up with things like the Spirit Hat Tournament
Yeah.
is considered a social event for them,
Okay.
which is
Those
not-
are pretty fun.
It's not a social event. You know, it's like
Yeah,
you already
it's a
got to be
tournament.
interested in the sport. You already got to know someone and sign up and go. But then after the Spirit Hat Tournament, there's a post-tournament party. And where I came from playing Ultimate on the east coast of Canada, there's always a post-tournament party. I was like, that's understood. You don't have to tell me. You just tell me where. Where to see that Tuck was, hey guys, we're throwing a party. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. So everyone's gonna come? I went and there was nobody there. You know, touring teams throwing social get-togethers as fundraisers. I went to a couple ones when I first got here just to see what was going on and meet the people. Besides the players, their significant others, and maybe a few friends, it's like a dozen people in a room just kind of like, here's $20, I'll buy some beer, and yeah, let's help your touring experience. So the social atmosphere and the social construct within Ultimate through Tuck is hurting. And I don't think we should lean on Tuck for that. I think if we can recognize that Inside Out was able to come out of something that came from somewhere else, we as individuals who are concerned with this can create something. Like, we should be able to do something.
Yeah, for sure. No.
Speak a lot of sense there, though.
Yeah. And it's like, it really comes down to, like, we know what to do, who's going to actually step up to actually do it, right? Like, is it Tuck's job, or is it us as a community to be like, hey guys, I'm going to throw a party. I want you guys to invite, one friend that does not play Ultimate, and let's see if we can try and convert them into playing, right? Like,
bring one person interested, bring one person who's tossed a disc, and bring someone who tours.
Yeah.
Like, that's the guest list.
Yeah, that's the formula.
Right? And hopefully we can really, like, inject a lot new fresh blood into the community.
Yeah, well, I guess maybe part of why not why it worked, but why it was even done with the Mississauga Sport and Social Club is because they are a sport and social club. Like, that is their goal to be both.
It's
Right.
in their name.
It's in their name. Like,
So describe that meetup though. Was it? I'm thinking you guys met at a bar and all talked
no.
about Ultimate.
Pickup game.
Yeah,
Oh, it was a
it was
pickup
at-
game. Okay.
At a field.
They just use the Meetup app to organize the pickups.
effectively, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe we went out for a beer after. I don't know.
Right, because it's sport and social.
Right.
Oh, I do remember Tuck does do, like, random pickup games, but again, it's like hosted on their website,
Yeah.
and it's kind of
If you
buried.
navigate to Tuck's website, you are an Ultimate interested player.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
It
If
could
you
take
know,
you
yeah,
time.
if you know how to navigate that, like,
Yeah, and
it's,
the meetups that Mississauga Sport Social Club are doing were not targeted at necessarily Ultimate player. I mean,
Right.
certainly if you're playing Ultimate, please come out, but it was more for, like, let's just get people out.
Community,
try it out,
build.
have some fun. Yeah, meanwhile, they would have people that knew the rules and stuff.
You already have like a Meetup account. So you're looking to be social in some way, shape, or form.
right.
And it's just a
I
platform.
like that.
Right, but
You don't
out
need
of-
to build it. Just go to them.
That's right.
Yeah.
But then out of that came, bubble to the top of a number of us that were all really cool and had fun playing Ultimate. So.
Fantastic. I like it.
I mean, so part of the whole kind of it's lacking in Toronto in terms of social. I think it's like a Toronto thing. Hard part. We're really competitive. Toronto's really
Yeah.
competitive.
Oh,
right?
yeah, for
So
sure.
everybody kind of very system focused, and then it's also like a community, right? So it's hard. I think it's hard for people to kind of get into the community without if they're not very forward, if they're more of an introvert, because it's very intimidating. I think it can be intimidating. There's a lot
And it's a little cliquey. It is a little cliquey.
Yeah, I don't think people intend to be.
No,
Like, I think
and-
everybody's inclusive, but I think a lot of people that I didn't before I started playing in Toronto. It's like you hear names and you kind of know these people, but like it's like, oh, can I be friends with them on Facebook kind of thing? Like I don't know. Really,
I'm not there yet.
Are we there yet? Right? I don't know if I'm like too like beneath you to be like friends on Facebook.
Sarah,
we Facebook
you can
official?
add Remy Ojo on Facebook.
Oh, the
will
day he
accept
requested
you.
my friendship.
the day he requested my friendship was the greatest
I
day of
knew
my
I
life.
made it.
Shout out to Remy.
Shout outs to Remy.
That's kind of an interesting thing about our sport too, though, right? It's like you can play on the same team as Remy.
And Andrew Carroll.
Yeah, Andrew Carroll, like top
Ultimate Canada's
world-class,
top male player this year.
like in the world, right? And like they can be on like your TPL team, and that can be intimidating, as Gerald says. Like you come in, like Remy, like you've seen him skying people like across North America.
Have you not seen his AUDL like top 10 plays
Oh, they're
clips?
sick,
Like,
right? They're so
my
they're
goodness.
so good. And so you're not like you're playing with them and you're trying to be good and you want to say hi, but you're not really sure. And then you finally talk to him. He's like the nicest guy. Like everything's like he's just like the rest of us.
Yeah.
He loves the sport and he happens to be world class at it, but he's super friendly and that's most people in our community are like that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Lastly, about how to thank and or appreciate the ladies that are in TPL right now. As a closing question, like
talking
as a
about-
lady, Nicole,
Oh my
how would you
goodness.
like the men of TPL to recognize your contribution to the fact that we have a league with 3-3 because you're playing in it? To all the times you sub and play more than one game, potentially playing with a nagging injury, but still willing to play because you know that we need you out there.
I'm a terrible person to ask that because I haven't subbed.
Yeah, I asked her to
in
sub, and she didn't sub
TCL.
on
Time.
Okay,
Oh,
well, but
man.
still, but even the fact that you joined, we talked about how we have less ladies this year.
Yeah.
So how can we thank the ones that are with us? We talk about getting new ladies, that's great, but I feel like we need to thank the ones who are there. As I was walking up and down the sidelines, I talked to a handful of ladies who played no less than 2 games that night.
Appreciate
And some
the
have
ones that
played
we already
3.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah, food is always good. Honestly, just the words. Just say it. Like, hey, we really appreciate that. I don't know that anybody's doing it for any special recognition, anyways. But just
Doesn't
the
matter.
acknowledgement
It's just nice
is,
sometimes, right?
is nice.
Yeah.
Food and treats is always good.
Right, and that's it, guys. Thanks for coming on out.
Hey, thanks guys.
No, I think we're good. I think we're good.
Oh yeah.
I think we're still eating.
Once.
gonna pick away at things.
Yeah.
Okay, because like the people coming.
There's a banquet coming.
I need
okay.
the table.
Oh, you need a table.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. You heard it first here. Sideline TPL podcast.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. Big ups to Biggie for the beats, Bliss for the dim sum, Mississauga fam, Marco being the OG podcaster, Destin, Morgan, all your contributions from last season's podcast. Most of all, you, the listeners. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. See y'all on the pitch. Peace.